Hey and welcome. Today we're going to look at all the different ways that you can perform bridges to target different areas of the body. Now, bridges are one of my favorite exercises, and I have them in every single mat class I teach without a doubt. They have the capability to be stretch focused. They are articulating through your spine. They open the front of the hip flexor, and they also broaden across the chest. They focus primarily on the posterior chain of the body. So the hamstrings and your glutes are going to be working. So we're going to look at different variations for your bridges and how you can bring a different focus to it. So let's start by coming down and focusing on our regular bridge and just looking at some alignment work here. So as I lay down onto my back, I'm ensuring there's space through the back of my neck. I'm definitely not tucking to press the back of my neck into the mat. From there, hands rest to the sides of the body. Bring my feet in a little closer and find them to parallel. So that means my middle toes in line with my hip bones. A lot of people think that their feet need to be in line with the outer edges of the hips. That's not hip width distance apart. So bringing the feet in nice and close. Often you'll have to check this on students. So make sure that their feet are actually hip width distance apart. Eye line stays towards the sky with my hands down, drawing my shoulders back. Let's start by looking at articulation. So I'll flatten the lower back, reach on up, roll up to my bridge. So important thing to notice, Pilates bridge and yoga bridge are a little bit different. Our yoga bridges, we're opening through the ribs and the chest region, focusing on that heart opening focus. When we come into Pilates, the ribs are drawing in, the glutes are staying engaged, and we're looking for that diagonal line from the tops of the knees to the tops of the shoulders. I've still got that gap between the chin and my chest. My head is heavy and there's space through the back of my neck. Now I can keep my hands down here and articulate down and up through my bridges. I'm feeling this in my glutes. I'm feeling this in my hamstrings. From there, let's look at some variations for here. If I come up to my bridge and I do some heel raises, either single or double, I'm going to be working through my calf muscles. I'll also be holding at the top so my glutes will have nice engagement there. I can keep the heels lifted and lower down and lift to really target those quads. Notice here I'm not adding the articulation, I'm lowering and straight away lifting. And this movement of drop and lift rather than articulation fires into the glute max a little bit more. If I bring my heels down, roll on down, I can do that same movement, keeping my feet grounded, lift up, lower halfway, lift up, lower halfway. From the top, how I could add some more layers is opening the knees, squeezing them in. Opening the knees, squeezing them in. This is a really great one to work through our abductors. If I lower down, I drop my legs in so they're connected, pigeon toe my feet, walk them a little wider. This will target a little bit more into my adductors, the inner thighs. I press up and down. I press up and down. This one isn't as common, but this will bring a little bit more focus as well into your glute min, the smallest of your glute muscles. So let's have a look at a few props that we can add to our practice. Let's look at the ball first. So a couple of ways we can work with the ball. I'm going to start by popping it in between my inner thighs. I could also do this with a ring. With the ball between my inner thighs, I come up, I squeeze the ball, I roll down. Maybe I add a couple of squeezes, I lower down. This is also going to bring it into those inner thighs. I could hold at the top. Now, obviously, if I lift a leg, it's going to take the ball away, but I can extend a leg from the floor while holding the ball there. This will help to keep nice pelvic stability while you lift a leg, a really great challenge. Lots of squeezes. Keeping that squeeze as you lift, you can squeeze, you can pulse down and up, you can do your heel lifts with that as well. Now another way we can use the ball is popping it under the heel with the front of the foot on the ground. This is going to favor my hamstring working a little more. So with my hands down at the side, both feet working, rolling up and down. I'm digging my heel down into the ball and I'm still using support from my left leg, which is planted on the ground. This allows us to bring a little bit more imbalance to the legs to favor different parts, mainly that hamstring. Another way that I can bring it into the hamstring and pelvic stability is to take that ball behind the leg. I lift on up, squeeze that leg up while keeping my hips nice and even, tap the foot down, lower down. Really fun little variations here, holding the ball. Now, a trickier way that you can work with the ball and bridges is both heels on the ball, toes apart, knees apart. Pressing up and down there is really going to work into your hamstrings, but also into the outer thighs as they're externally rotated. Really great little challenge, a bit tricky to set up. So to set that up, I take the ball, lift their feet up, pop the ball between the feet, pop it down, then lifting my heels up onto it. You want to make sure the front of the foot is always on the ground when you've got that ball, so they've got something to stabilize into. Next, let's look at the booty band, so doing the reverse. So I'll slip the booty band on my legs, pop it up over my knees, bring my feet down to the ground, I roll up, I lower down. I'm working with the bridge and the band to focus on my abductors. The outer thighs, I can hold at the top, do my pulses. Again, I can do leg lifts from here while keeping the pelvis still, or leg extensions. So many variations, a little bit of an evil one to work with depending on the strength of your booty band. If I'm working with my single leg variations, the TheraBand can be really fun to work with. Taking one leg to the sky, maybe I do some leg waves to start with. This is drawing my thigh bone back into my hip socket. Hold at the top, shoulders back, chest broad, grounding through the supporting leg, lifting up, wave down, up and lower. Lift, wave, up and lower. Really fun variations there for your single legs. I might also like to hold the band in my hands, come up into my bridge, pull it apart, bring it back in and lower. Another fun way that won't work as fluidly with your class plan, but if you can get it there, why not, is come up into my bridge. As I come down, I take a chest press. This can be done with your dumbbells that I will show you in a moment as well. This can be wrapped around the legs if you don't have booty bands. So many great options with that. So let's look at our dumbbells next. So lots of variations we can do. We can do our chest presses with our bridges. We can hold the arms up, lift, chest fly and lower. Another really great one you might have heard called the skull crusher. It's your tricep extension. The dumbbells come back towards the head, lift all the way on up. I can add some really nice heel raises to this. I can hold at the top, little pulses, take those chest flies, lots of variations there. Something else you can do with those dumbbells is bring them across the hips, make sure they feel comfy. I lift up and lower there. I've added weight to my bridges to make it a little bit more work for my legs. Okay, we're nearly there. We can use a block, similar to how you worked with the ball under the foot. If I pop the block underneath one foot, I'm favoring one side a little more. This is a great way to work on pelvic stability as you are moving through your bridge series. You can pop the block in between the thighs as well. That's a really nice variation. I can add an ankle weight to it. That's a fun way to bring some more weight to my single leg work. Finally, I can work with my slider. So sliders are going to favor into my hamstrings. I'm going to bring the slider underneath one foot, under the heel. Find my position for my bridges. Roll myself up. In the height of my bridge, I'm going to slide the disc out. Pull it back in, lower on down. Rise up, press out, slide in, lower down. Hold up, little presses out and in, really firing into that hamstring. There we go, I lost it, let's come on down. Now let's look at your final few variations of your bridges that don't use props. If I bring my feet a little further away when I work into my bridges, I'm going to be favoring my hamstrings a little more than I will my glutes. So a simple step of my feet out and away from me will bring it more into my hamstrings. We looked at the knees turned in. If we turn our feet out and our knees out as we come up, this will favor into my glute meads. So we press up and down with that nice wide stance. Now remember, when you're teaching bridges, that we want to be mindful of bridges not always being available for someone who is pregnant. We don't want the pelvis above the heart. Someone with disc issues might not love your bridges. Pelvic instability or issues around the pelvic sacrum region won't always love those single leg options. So those variations of feet and variations of props are a really great way for those people that can't do those single leg variations. You give them the internal, you'll give them the external legs. Again, bridges are so great. They're working your spinal mobility. They're opening through the front of the hip. They're working the backs of the legs. So they're a really versatile way to open all the parts, work all the parts of our body that are in a shortened resting stage a lot of our day. Enjoy all those variations. Pop your bridges into as many classes as you can. Your students will love it.